Cinematic photograph of a Sony Xperia 1 Mark V smartphone silhouetted in a dark, atmospheric room with a subtle purple rim light highlighting its edges. Close-up photograph of the Sony logo on the back of a purple smartphone, catching a streak of light. A row of 5 identical generic black smartphones with glowing screens contrasting with a single purple Sony Xperia phone standing apart from them. Macro photograph of the textured matte glass back of a purple Sony Xperia 1 Mark V showing fine detail. Extreme close-up photograph of the machined metal grooves along the side frame of a premium smartphone. A hand confidently gripping a naked purple Sony Xperia smartphone without a case outdoors. Close-up photograph of the top edge of a smartphone showing a 3.5mm headphone jack port. A left hand awkwardly holding a tall smartphone with the index finger struggling to reach the side-mounted fingerprint sensor. A right thumb comfortably resting on the side-mounted fingerprint scanner of a Sony Xperia phone. Macro photograph of a dedicated textured physical shutter button protruding from the side of a smartphone. A close-up shot of a finger firmly pressing down on a 2-stage physical camera shutter button on a phone. A split-screen comparison image. Left side shows an oversaturated, bright smartphone photo of a landscape, and the right side shows a more muted, realistic, natural photo of the same landscape. A screenshot of a professional camera app interface on a smartphone screen showing manual controls like ISO and shutter speed. A wide-angle landscape photograph taken with a smartphone showing modern architecture with perfectly straight vertical lines and no distortion. A dynamic photograph of a sports car speeding down a track perfectly in focus taken from a low angle with a smartphone. A sequence of burst photographs displayed on a phone screen showing a dog running in sharp focus across multiple frames. A screenshot of a very simple, clean Android smartphone settings menu with very few icons. A close-up photograph of shaky hands trying to hold a smartphone steady for a macro shot of a flower. A professional-looking smartphone mounted securely on a small tripod in a nature setting. A cinematic close-up shot of a Snapdragon mobile processor chip sitting on a circuit board. A lifestyle photograph of a man sitting in a stylish coffee shop looking thoughtfully at his Sony Xperia phone. A candid street photography shot of a person using a Sony Xperia phone to take a picture of a busy urban scene. A photograph of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V resting on a rustic wooden table next to a cup of coffee. A portrait of a photographer smiling while holding the Sony Xperia phone like a traditional camera, looking at the screen. A photograph of the phone standing upright on a rock in a beautiful natural landscape at sunset. A side profile photograph of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, emphasizing its tall, blocky, and distinct shape without curved edges. Extreme close-up of the Zeiss T-star coating branding engraved near the camera lenses on the back of the phone. A person using the smartphone to take a photograph in low-light conditions with the screen illuminating their face. A close-up shot of the 21:9 cinema ratio screen playing a high-quality movie trailer. A final elegant shot of the purple Sony Xperia 1 Mark V lying face down on a dark surface, fading into shadow.